Good evening, Americans, and welcome to the Ed Show live from New York. Let's get to work. This is not going to give us energy independence. This is all about exporting. Go to Nebraska and talk to the folks on the ground.
This is very personal for us.
I was wrong.
If I can change, everybody can change.
I don't think America needs to take this risk.
American families and American farmers will bear all the risk.
It is literally in our backyard.
The oil companies will get all the reward.
Our customers continue to say that they need this pipeline.
If there's a crack, a leak, and it's going to be in that water,
it will leak.
There could be significant climate impacts from the pipeline.
People are coming around to the reality that this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Good to have you with us tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. Well, I guess I'm America's new flip-flopper. Here's how I viewed it. In case you've heard, I have made the move. I am against the pipeline. Well-reasoned, I believe, and very profound. Ask yourself the question. Pick an issue that you are affable about. You're kind of in favor of something. Is there any information that could come to you that would make you change your mind on a subject that might be rather a hot topic? Do you want to have the same knowledge base tomorrow as you have today? And that was the question that I asked myself. Do I know everything that I have to know about this project? And clearly the answer was no, because there were such divided loyalties and such difference of opinions from experts, I might add. So I've made the move. Now, last night I made the announcement. I didn't think it was a big announcement. It's just what I believe. I'm a cable guy. I'm a radio guy. Tonight, I'm recruiting. If you are for this pipeline, I would like you to join me because I think it's bad for America. On the pipeline, I've made the turn. You can make the turn. We're Americans. We have freedom, right? I do not think that President Obama should approve this project because there's just too much at risk. I think the risk more than outweighs the reward to the United States of America and the globe. Now, originally I thought the Keystone XL pipeline was a pretty good idea, okay? Kind of conventional wisdom. Oh, yeah, it's a pipeline. We got tons of pipelines around. One of my main arguments and position statements was that, well, transporting this oil by rail, by rail was more dangerous than a pipeline. Both groups, I think, need to realize is that the alternative of shipping oil on railways or in trucks is extremely unsafe. On December 30th, there was a very large train derailment near Castleton, North Dakota, about 20 miles outside of Fargo. Proponents say that it's a safer way to transport oil. This does not mean the country is going to be consuming more oil. Based on safety, I think the president should give this project the stamp of approval. Ooh, I made the turn. I've reversed. I do not think the president should give this the stamp of approval. And I'll tell you why. On rail and any kind of transportation, we can take safety measures. We can reduce, we can regulate, we can change the way we're doing it. We can invest in infrastructure. But a pipeline located over the aquifer? No. In the following weeks, I had a number of guests on this program who were opposed to the pipeline. They knew a lot more about it than I did. I kept reading and I kept talking to folks. And there were some heated moments, some ridicule involved, but that's okay. That kind of goes with the territory of the fishbowl. I certainly got both sides of the story on the Keystone XL pipeline on this program and on my radio show. That was the mission. I didn't think I was going to change, but I wanted to know more. And I want you to know more. At that stage, I still wasn't completely sold. I wanted to get to people on the ground. You got to go to the story. I mean, I really believe that. I've always believed that. That street tape is so important. What's in the gut of the people? The people who are on the ground have got to know more about this. I wanted to get on the ground in Nebraska and talk to the landowners who would be directly affected by the pipeline. Well, the weekend of February 22nd, I arrived in Nebraska. I heard the concerns, and I saw the risk of where the pipeline would run. No one wanted to sleep a couple of 100 feet away from a pipeline pumping 800,000 barrels a day of toxic sludge. If Barack Obama was standing here right now, Shannon, what would you say to him?
Personally, I would ask him if he would willingly sleep 275 feet away from a 36-inch pipe of sludge and poison day after day after day after day, if that's something that he really would feel comfortable doing. Personally, I don't.
Would anybody feel comfortable doing that? Maybe a few Americans. One of the biggest concerns is this: the Olagala Aquifer. This is a big body of water underneath the ground. It's one of the largest aquifers in the world. It's a natural treasure to this country. It's the second largest body of water in North America, next to the Great Lakes. This aquifer, you know what it does? It provides water to farms in 8 states through the Farm Belt, the breadbasket of America. It provides water to roughly a quarter of our nation's cropland. It also supplies many local drinking wells. You want to drink some of that stuff? It's great water. That's because it's unspoiled. This water source has turned the dry plains of America from a desert to the breadbasket of the country. In some places, the water table, as I said last night, it's not down thousands of feet. In some places, the water table is so high from the aquifer, it's exposed at the surface.
Right here we have, this is just an example of how high our water table is. This is groundwater here. That stays that way year-round. And there's numerous places out through our pasture land here where we have standing water from the ground. When you're talking about burying a 36-inch pipeline out here, you know, it's going to be submerged right into that water supply.
So, what is this aquifer? This aquifer thing? It is a great filtration system that just gives us so many nutrients, and it cleanses the water that comes from the sky. And this is one of the reasons why we have the most productive farmland in America here. Make no mistake, this water source is critical to life on the Great Plains, to the people in the heartland, and they are very worried about the aquifer being contaminated from an oil disaster.
Okay, the pipeline comes in and kind of up on the northwest edge of my property. We're in a very fragile soil. We have sand, and we're right over the Ogallala Aquifer. You don't have to go down very far till you start hitting that water. There's a vast amount of water right there. And in this sand and gravel mixture, if there's a crack, a leak, anything like that is going to get into that porous material, and it's going to be in that water very rapidly. We will, as a matter of fact, I really believe in most cases in like Terry's soil or my soil, we're going to not see any evidence of that leak for a while above ground.
So contamination could be permeating throughout the whole system before people could realize exactly what's going on.
Exactly. And somebody's going to be dead, or some livestock's going to be dead, and they're going to wonder what the heck happened here, and it's going to be bad water from all the chemicals and so forth that are in the water.
Why in the world would we put ourselves in that position? If the aquifer is contaminated, the fallout would be devastating. It would be devastating to local Nebraskans, but it would also threaten agriculture at levels that we have never seen in this part of the country, which is vital to our strength as a nation. This is totally unnecessary. It is an unnecessary risk to our natural resources. There are two sides to every story. But there are absolutes. And I tweeted out today, this is really what I believe in all of the research, in all of the reading, and all of the interviews. Bottom line, no expert, either side, can remove the distance of absolute danger to the clean water supply in relation to the pipeline. That's an absolute. You can hang your hat on that till the cows come home. I say it's not worth the risk. President Obama, yes, I do believe, I'm not trying to sound arrogant or grandiose, I do believe that if he went to Nebraska and talked to these folks and saw this water and saw where this pipeline is going to go, I think it would influence him. Listen to the concerns of the people, America. Listen to the concerns about the water supply. Listen to the concerns about the risks involved with this pipeline. I'm selling hard tonight because I believe it. We need as a country to make this turn. President Obama, he is the perfect president at the perfect point in history to make the call and reject this pipeline, make a symbolic statement to the world that Americans do have influence when it comes to climate change. History's on his side. He campaigned on it. He talked about climate change in the State of the Union address. He has all the information needed to make the call to reject this and turn the tide of history. This is when America is going to make the move. Big oil's not going to get everything it wants just because they put several $1 billion into something that they think the American people will buy. There's no downside to saying no to this. It will not make us less secure. It will not affect our energy independence. It will affect the environment. But most of all, the risk. The risk for the president, well, he's not running again, is he? The Democrats will be able to go out and say, we stand for the environment. Our president proved it. And we proved to who? The kids. The next generation. Well, here they are. 4th of July at Auntie Lynn's house on Eagle Lake in Minnesota. That's Wendy and Ed Schultz's grandkids. That's 8 of 11. And I can tell you, when they come to the lake, they eat everything. That's why we got 3 refrigerators. What are we going to tell them? You ever think about what kind of world are we going to leave them? What kind of message are we going to send? Now, we're teaching the kids that America's a wonderful country. It's 4th of July. They're jumping in the water. They're going to go hang out on the raft. They're going to wave the American flag. And I can tell you they ate all the food. What are we telling them? Oil is going to be the focal point of your energy source to the future. We say yes to pipelines. We give big tax breaks to big oil. They get whatever they want. Or do we want their generation to be different from ours? That's why, President Obama, you hold all the cards. You can be the hope and the change that the parents of these kids voted for. Say no. I'm recruiting tonight. And when there's a demonstration in Washington, I'm going to be in the crowd with a tremendous amount of pride. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question. Should President Obama go to Nebraska? Text A for yes, text B for no to 67622. You can always go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. For more, I want to bring in Jane Klebb of boldnebraska.org. Jane, thank you for joining us tonight. How big a...
Thanks, Ed. If I wasn't hooked up to things, I would be standing up and cheering and giving you a thumbs up. So awesome. Awesome intro.
Well, I appreciate that, but it certainly isn't about me or my position. It's about the information. It's about the risk. It's about the future of the country. How big a threat is the XL pipeline to the aquifer?
It's a huge threat. And so even in the State Department report, they actually never studied a worst case scenario. But the spill size that they did study, they said that a localized spill could be up to a half a mile, and then the chemical plume could travel up to 250 miles. And so you're talking about devastation, not only directly for those farmers or ranchers that live near where the pipeline would spill, but then people who live downstream as well.
TransCanada has run a television commercial in Nebraska downplaying the risk to the aquifer. I want to play a clip of this and get your reaction. Here it is.
I've spent my career drilling holes to and through the Ogallala Formation. I've probably seen as much of the Ogallala of anybody. There's a misconception that if the aquifer is contaminated, the entire water supply of Nebraska is going to be endangered, and that's absolutely false. If people recognize the science of the situation, I think that should allay a lot of the fears.
Jane, your response to that?
You know, before Dr. Gecki started to do ads for TransCanada, he actually went in front of our state Senate and told them that he actually doesn't know what a spill could do because he didn't know what chemicals were mixed with tar sands. We still don't know because TransCanada refuses to tell us the amount of benzene and other chemicals that are in the tar sands that would be traveling through our water. And I will tell you, nobody has said that one spill would contaminate the entire aquifer, but one spill will devastate that family's future forever. We know that a spill will be in that water for decades. We think it's impossible to clean up. Nobody's given us a plan to clean up a tar sand spill.
No one has come forward and said, not a problem. If there's a major spill, we'll be able to save the aquifer. No one has done that. All right. Now, on Tuesday, TransCanada CEO Russ Girling said that that this is the next pipeline that's going to be built. Your reaction to that?
He's been saying that for the last 5 years. Every 6 months, he essentially comes on to the airwaves and says, this is going to be built. We're going to hear an answer in the next 30 days. And he's always wrong. And I will tell you, not only tribes, landowners, farmers and ranchers, citizens from the entire country will be standing on the line of Nebraska, and we will not let this pipeline in our state. We have the will and determination. We are proud people, and we're not going to let this pipeline risk our futures.
All right, Jane Klev, I stand with you on this. I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much. I want to bring in Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky of Illinois. Well, Congresswoman, can Congress influence the president to say no to this project?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that because tomorrow is the last day for comments about this pipeline, public comments. So, yes, Congress can weigh in. I certainly have weighed in. But the public has until tomorrow. So, Ed, all those people that you're convincing to take their heads out of those tar sands can sit down and write a letter and tell the administration that they don't want to see that pipeline. I would hope that people in Mayflower, Arkansas, for example, it's almost a year since the pipeline spill in their community, and there's been hundreds of them around the country, will also take the time to write and say that, no, this is not a good idea.
You have a sense of where the president's going to come down on this?
Well, I think that we still have time to influence the president. And by the way, in the Senate today, Senator Whitehouse and Senator Boxer just wrote a letter asking for a health study because now there seems to be evidence showing that downwind from where these the tar sands are that are extracting the oil, that there's mercury and carcinogens, cancer-causing agents in the air, and actually a higher rate of cancer. So that's another problem.
Our stability, our energy stability is not going to be determined by this pipeline. And
absolutely not.
And it would be a generational statement to say no, would it not?
Well, look, absolutely no, because we have no assurance at all whether or not any of that oil that would be refined in the southern part of the United States, whether that would stay in the United States or go right out into exports. When we asked the head of TransCanada, could you guarantee that that oil will stay in the United States? He said no, he couldn't. He wouldn't.
Congresswoman, this is going to be a fight. I expect the Democrats who care about the environment to stand up and say no to this and tell the president to say no. I think it's going to take a real statement from elected officials in the body to let the president know exactly where they stand on this. Not just a few in the House and a few over on the Senate side. I think there really has to be a push if we're serious. If we're serious about the future and the next generation. Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And some of you may remember this. The conservative push to privatize education is introducing a new form of segregation. The Rapid Response Panel joins me to discuss why investing in public schools is the only way to ensure equal opportunities for all children. But first, House Democrats have had enough of Darrell Iss's abuse of power. Congressman Elijah Cummings joins me after some action taken in the House today. We're right back. You are affable about. You're kind of in favor of something. Is there any information that could come to you that would make you change your mind on a subject that might be rather a hot topic? Do you want to have the same knowledge base tomorrow as you have today? And that was the question that I asked myself. Do I know everything that I have to know about this project? And clearly the answer was no, because there were such divided loyalties and such difference of opinions from experts, I might add. Good evening, Americans, and welcome to the Ed Show live from New York. Let's get to work.
This is not going to give us energy independence. This is all about exporting. Go to Nebraska and talk to the folks on the ground.
This is very personal for us.
I was wrong.
If I can change, everybody can change.
I don't think America needs to take this risk.
American families and American farmers will bear all the risk.
It is literally in our backyard.
The oil companies will get all the reward.
So I've made the move. Now, last night I made the announcement. I didn't think it was a big announcement. It's just what I believe. I'm a cable guy. I'm a radio guy. Tonight, I'm recruiting. If you are for this pipeline, I would like you to join me because I think it's bad for America. On the pipeline, I've made the turn. You can make the turn. We're Americans. We have freedom, right? I do not think that President Obama should approve this project because there's just too much at risk. I think the risk more than outweighs the reward to the United States of America and the globe. Now, originally, I thought the Keystone XL pipeline was a pretty good idea, okay? You know, kind of conventional wisdom. Oh, yeah, it's a pipeline. We got tons of pipelines around. One of my main arguments in position statements was that, well, transporting this oil by rail, by rail was more dangerous than a pipeline. Both groups, I think, need to realize is that the alternative of shipping oil on railways or in trucks is extremely unsafe. On December 30th,
our customers continue to say that they need this pipeline.
If there's a crack, a leak, and it's going to be in that water,
it will leak.
There could be significant climate impacts from the pipeline.
People are coming around to the reality that this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Good to have you with us tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. Well, I guess I'm America's new flip-flopper. Here's how I viewed it. In case you've heard, I have made the move. I am against the pipeline. Well-reasoned, I believe, and very profound. Ask yourself the question. Pick an issue that